YouTube. You can find me out in the streets, looking for new talent all over Atlanta. I'm really grateful for y'all support, man. Y'all just don't know.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl Songbird, and I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Room 1002 Exclusives. If you're joining me here for the very first time, I want to welcome you to the room. You just stumbled upon the channel that's showcasing Atlanta's hottest up-and-coming artists, creatives, and innovators. And today's special guest is no different. Before we kick off, I want to remind you guys to like and share this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave us some feedback in the comments. We want to hear from y'all about how you felt while you were entertaining yourself today on Room 1002. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the lovely Caliyah Amanie. And yes, I am going to read her bio because we ain't going to be misrepresenting nobody in Room 1002, okay? So make sure y'all paying attention. Caliyah Amanie is the founder of the ministry and podcast, The Way and the Light, which helps people of all walks in their relationship with God. Y'all didn't know we was going there today, did you? Yeah, we talking about the Lord today. Since stepping into her walk with Christ, she has used her voice to be a vessel for the kingdom to inspire, motivate, minister, and share the gospel. She uses her gifts to speak to the youth at different FCA events, schools, and many church ministries, as well as hosting her own annual Refreshed Women's Conference. Get your tickets. Caliyah's passion lies in inspiring and supporting individuals on their personal journeys with Christ. Through this ministry, she has created a welcoming community that spans a diverse spectrum of believers. At The Way and the Light, she prioritizes providing a space where individuals can receive the word, find encouragement, and connect with others without fear of judgment. It's a place where the love of Christ is at the forefront, fostering an environment of acceptance, growth, and genuine fellowship. Oh, girl, that is one heck of a bio. I need y'all to help me welcome to the room today the one and only Caliyah Amanie.
Yes.
Hi,
thank you
beautiful.
so much. Hello.
Thanks for coming. You look
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Listen.
It's a pleasure to be here, for sure.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. You've been such an inspiration to me. Just in the little bit of time that I've known you, just watching you do what you do. You kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I will say that.
Yeah,
like, it was like
literally.
one day you didn't go to the church and the next day I'm like,
Yeah.
she's everywhere.
Yep.
But I will say that your presence was very bold from the very beginning. And, you know, even on your very first power trip with us, sharing testimony, sharing revelation. So I thought I have to sit down with her and talk to her. Like,
Yes.
you my girl,
I love
but
that.
also get the people together.
I love it.
Help the people find the Lord.
Yes. Yes. It's been a journey, but I love coming to the church. It's been a year now.
Wow.
So
Time
yeah,
flies.
it does.
It flies.
Yes.
Well, look, we're going to go ahead and get into it.
Yes.
I am going to start you off just with the question that I ask everybody, you know, kind of give us just a brief, obviously I read your bio and that's mainly like accolades and things, but kind of tell us a little bit about who you are and just kind of walk us through your background a little bit.
Yes. Well, I am a country girl, small town girl.
Okay.
Okay. So I am from Cartersville, Georgia.
Way
out there. Way out there. So I cannot say that I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, but
Okay.
I'm familiar just a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm a small town country girl and I grew up, born and raised there, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
And I actually started fully dedicating my life to the Lord maybe my junior year of high school.
Okay.
So I grew up in a Christian household, but I did not have a personal relationship with the Lord.
Mhm.
So I knew all the Bible stories and what that looked like, but I didn't truly walk with the Lord
Mhm.
personally until my junior year of high school after dealing with so much just battles and everything
Mhm.
like that. But once I gave my life to the Lord, like he took me on a journey.
Choked you up.
Yes, I did not expect to be a speaker. I did not expect to go out and share the gospel. That's
Mhm.
not what my career was planning to
Yeah.
happen. So once I actually like gave my life to the Lord, you know, he completely turned me around.
I think
So.
that's one of the biggest parts of believing, like
Yeah.
not really knowing what it's going to look like, where he's going to take you.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the beauty of it. I know for me, I always knew I wanted to do something like this. I just didn't know it would be like this.
Yes.
You know, when I went to school, I thought I was going to be the next Monica Kaufman. If
Okay.
you know WSB TV, she was the hottest news anchor in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And I don't even mean hot, like beauty wise. She was just such a good journalist.
Yeah.
But I went to college. The path just didn't seem like it would land here.
Mhm.
And I remember being like, okay, I'm unemployed. What am I
Yeah.
going to do? And God was like, this is what you're going to
Exactly.
do. And I'm
Exactly.
still figuring out the best way possible to navigate it
Yeah.
in a space where he feels welcome and open to be a part of what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
But, and that's why I wanted you here to kind of help people kind of see that that is possible to combine your love for whatever you want to be or whoever you want to be and not like alienate God in the process.
Absolutely.
So can you kind of walk us through? I know you said that it was your junior year of high school when you decided like, okay, this is it. I'm giving my life to the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm not turning back. What did that look like as a junior in high school?
Yeah. A lot of emotions happened and, came. I think a lot of the time, I guess navigating what that looked like was navigating relationships and friendships first. That was one of the first areas that God had to pivot me. So being around this group of people that didn't truly benefit who I was or where God was taking me, God completely shifted that.
Yeah.
And those relationships ended, those friendships ended. And so being a junior in high school and wanting to do things that everyone was doing, like parties and going out to do, having conversations that I couldn't do that. I didn't want to do that now. So
awesome.
Figuring that out, it was a little bit challenging. And, I went through a stage of loneliness for a while, but I knew the goal that God wanted me to meet and what that looked like. I also was my senior year, I decided not to go to college.
Okay.
So that was like my first huge trusting God moment. Because I knew that he wanted me to do the entrepreneur route and he wanted me to go straight into ministry.
Yeah.
And so seeing all of my peers preparing for college and going off to college, I had those moments where I was like, dang, should I actually go or is this path right for me?
Yeah.
But I had to truly trust God in that moment. That was my first pivoting moment of my life.
Yeah.
Because not going to college, people look at you like, what are you doing?
Right. Like,
Aren't
what's
you
your
going to
plan then?
college?
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm trusting God. I'm going into ministry. And I even had people say, oh, well, good luck with that. There's worse things to do. But my focus was on the Lord.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was going to be okay.
Yeah. And, navigating that so young, I mean, my goodness, that sounds like it could be nothing but a challenge.
Yeah.
Especially like you said, when everyone around you is kind of like, girl, we about to go to college. Like, we're
Right.
going to get lit. I don't know
Yeah,
what you talking
parties.
about. Like, girl, what?
Yes.
And so I could easily see that being something where it was like, I have no choice but to trust God because I don't really have anybody else on my side anyway.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool, like, I thought also that, one of the reasons I really wanted to highlight your story and what you're doing is because of your age.
Wow.
And you're so young and you're on fire for the Lord. And I think that it's important for people to know, like, you don't have to go through all the other stuff first.
Right.
And that's not to say that, and I'm sure Caliyah will share with us any trials or, ups and downs, backsliding, as we call it in the church, that you could have potentially experienced, but you don't have to go so deep before you decide, okay, maybe I need to turn around and give my life to the Lord.
Okay.
So when you're navigating this entrepreneur lifestyle, how did you know that it needed to go from, not even go from, how did you know what form of ministry you were going to be in? Like, because I mean, you have a podcast.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with, I should have a podcast? Like that's what I'm going to do with it. That's how I'm going to tell my story.
Yeah. At first, a podcast was not the idea.
Okay.
So I actually started out with ministry. I did motivational, inspirational content.
Nice.
Nothing faith-based related. Like it was just strictly motivational content. Like, choose the right friends or whatever that looked like. So it started off on social media, but the closer that I got to the Lord, I realized that I could take that motivational content and turn it to faith-based and encourage other believers or new Christians walking out their life and what that looked like. So because I did start to gain a lot of traction on TikTok, that way I was like, well, I can use my voice. I know that I've always been the advice giver or the mom of the friend group. So I'm going to use this as a benefit, as a skill, and put this out into the world. And what better way than to do it on a podcast? Because you're able to be authentic, you're able to be transparent, and you're able to talk longer than 30 seconds on a shorter form platform. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And I took the time to research it and what that looked like and how to start it. And I launched it right after high school, and I knew it was for me, and I knew that God wanted me to be on that platform because of where he took it in those first couple of months.
That's actually pretty crazy to hear. I love when people have good stories about social media, right? Because a lot of social media is just god awful garbage. And I hate to say that like that, but a lot of that content can be very vulgar, in a lot of
Yes.
cases negative,
Mhm.
and a lot of it is like anti-God.
Yes.
A lot of it is anti-God. So
Very much
I
so.
think that is really cool to hear that, you know, before you even got to the place where you're at now, you took that platform that a lot of people
Absolutely.
are using for something anti what you're trying to do
Mhm.
and turned it into something that could still be used and good for the Lord.
Yes.
And that's a really good place for a lot of you young people, you know, like I know TikTok makes you feel like you have to do them dances and take your clothes off and
Craziness.
all that other stuff. But I promise you there are so many other ways to advance yourself.
Yes.
But it advance him first. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So that you can be used in that capacity.
Yeah.
So you start The Way and the Light.
I did.
Right? What year was that?
2022.
Okay,
believe so.
2022. Wow.
Yeah.
2 years ago almost. 2 full years already?
Yes, it has
Yeah?
been. Yep.
Okay,
So I'm going on my
perfect.
third year. Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
2 years ago you start the podcast and you
Yep.
just go for it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So where are we now with the podcast and what are some of the things that you've learned along the way? Because even though
Yeah.
you are, you know, using your platform and you're saying like, you know, I trust God with this. Like,
Yeah.
like the Lord is leading me. The Lord is leading my conversations. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're still like, well, I do still have to get people to listen to it and
Yes.
like, you know, like actually reach my audience. So how are you navigating all of that?
Man, advertising is one of the biggest things,
Mhm.
but I've also noticed that your girl went worldwide.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah?
still thinking about that and knowing that my voice is in New Zealand, in
Mm.
Africa, like United Kingdom. Like
Wow.
I'm like,
Okay,
what
God.
the heck?
Okay,
Because I never expected. I was like, oh, this is gonna be people that's locally, like, you know,
Mhm.
in Atlanta or Georgia or United States. It's not gonna go anywhere past that. But when I seen the audience that I do have, and even around all backgrounds and ages that I, you know, that ranges on my podcast, I'm like, wow, God, you're really doing your thing.
Yeah.
And it truly is a blessing to know that you're using me as a vessel to reach so many different people.
Yes.
So growth in that way. And when I started my podcast, my main thing was to be authentic and transparent.
Yeah.
And I still worry about that there's quality over quantity.
Mhm.
And that has been my huge focus. With my topics that I talk about on my podcast, I let the Holy Spirit lead.
Yeah.
I don't plan.
Okay.
I don't research topics or sermons to talk about. I'm like, okay, God, you know who's going to listen to this podcast. You know what these people need. So
Mhm.
use me as a vessel and you give me the idea. You give me the topic.
Yeah.
And that has been my main focus with the beginning and even to now.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because y'all, I go out of my way to do like questions and all this stuff. Y'all want to know like a true secret though? I don't even go back and look at them. I
Yeah.
send the questions to y'all,
Yeah.
like to the guests so that they kind of have like an idea of where I might take it.
Yeah.
And I also just like to make sure that people are always comfortable.
Yeah.
So I don't want to ask you something and you get here and you just stare into the camera like,
Yeah.
I'm not answering that. So I always like to give people just like an idea, but
Yes.
I never go back and like prep
Yeah.
or anything. I just off the dome, like, okay, well, you know. And
Yeah.
I also like to, I feel like it's a little bit more authentic when you let the conversation lead itself.
Yes.
Like you're going to say something that's going to trigger something in me to take it another place.
Yes.
And so,
Absolutely.
you know, in a way, I feel like that's kind of like what you're saying you're doing. I want to make sure that I'm listening to the Holy Spirit though.
Yeah. Yes. Main focus. Main focus.
So, just going a little bit deeper into your testimony of like, you know, how you realized that you needed to give your life to the Lord and, you know, what that looked like. Was it a specific moment for you in life where you were like, I've just gone too far, or you could kind of tell that you were about to go too far? Like, what was that moment for you where you were like, I know I'm young, but I have to make this decision and I don't want to wait another day to do it?
I wouldn't say that was the way that it happened. For
Okay.
me. Because I dealt with depression and suicidal thoughts.
Okay.
So back in middle school, which triggered a lot of it, was bullying about my size. And because of those constant words that my peers and people that I surrounded myself around, because that was a constant daily thing, I started to say those things to myself. And I started to believe those within myself. And it turned into insecurity. It turned into self-hate. And it turned into depression.
Yeah.
And I was going on a spiral for a long time, from middle school even up to my junior year of high school. Like I was battling with depression and just self-hate and not knowing and understanding my worth and what that looked like. And so the way that it happened, that I encountered the Lord the first time is, I identified as a Christian, but I didn't walk it out. So one day I was in my physics class, and one of my peers at the time, she was talking to me, and she was like, if God loved me, why would he allow me to go through what I went through? And she was molested. And in that time, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, why is she,
saying
coming
this to
me?
me?
Like,
Right.
I know that I'm a Christian, but
Like,
am I
girl.
going to say the right words? And I don't even remember what I said to her that day, but she ended up texting me later that night, and she said, I felt God's presence, but through you.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And so that night, I was like, okay, God, you let me know. We ain't talk like that, but if this is something that you want me to do, like to be there for people, to mentor, to, encourage others, let me know.
Yeah.
And literally, I kid you not, that's why I'm like, God is so strategic, and there's nothing that's a coincidence. And so the next day, in that same class, at the same time, I got a message on my phone, and it said, you're about to become the woman that God created you to be. And I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Whoa.
Like, God, you actually hear me? Or is this like, am I being played? Where's the cameras?
Right. Like,
where's the cameras?
Who was listening to my conversation?
Literally. So I remember just being so hyped. I texted my mom, and I said, I think this is something that I want to do. I want to go this route. But that wasn't the turning moment for me.
Okay.
That was a huge moment, but it wasn't the turning moment. I was still dealing with depression and just crying myself to sleep and figuring out, like, do I actually want to be here? Am I worth being here? People wouldn't miss me if I wasn't here. So that was still a constant thing that I was dealing with. And I just remember one night, I got down on my knees and I said, God, I have tried everything.
Yeah.
I have tried the friendships. I've tried the relationships, trying to fill the void, trying to feel the love that I feel like it's lacking.
Yeah.
I've tried substances. I've tried just all of these things, and nothing truly fulfills me because I'm still crying myself to sleep. I'm still navigating. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, because these things aren't working, I'm going to give you a chance.
Yeah.
And literally from that day forward, God just started to move. Like hyper speed. I started going deep into the word, listening to worship music, changing like the people that I was around. So that was a huge turning moment. And then I started to live out my senior year as a God-fearing young woman.
Yeah.
And
shaking the table at the high school.
Literally. And people were caught off guard by that too.
Of course.
Because it's not like I was a bad person, but I was out there. I was a little ratchet. I was a little out,
Not the country girl was ratchet.
Yes. Yes, I was out there, very loud, very vocal, but fun. But I wasn't a bad person. I didn't, get into, crazy
a lot of things that we can get into.
Yeah. But it still took people off guard to the point where a lot of my friends and a lot of the people that I trusted, they questioned my judgment. They questioned who I was, even to the point where, because I started to, show up as a woman of God on social media, obviously the peers around you see that. And so I had people questioning, like, is she okay? Like, is she okay? She's worshiping online. She's worshiping on live. Like, what's going on? She's too Christian. I stopped getting invited to stuff. Yeah. She wouldn't want to do that. She doesn't, so obviously that went into that, like I said in the beginning, like I dealt with that season of loneliness, but I wouldn't have changed it.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad, because I wouldn't know you if you didn't change it.
Right.
But what I love about what you just said is that you were unapologetic for the Lord.
Absolutely.
And we have to get to that place. And I know you and I, we've had our chats in these last couple of weeks.
Yes.
In case y'all didn't notice, she is my friend in real life.
Hey.
And that's something that we've kind of been just chatting about, like, how can I really use Room 1002 to be like a better evangelist in a way, like without compromising myself. Like, I don't want to compromise. I do feel like that this particular industry, you can get wrapped up and you don't even realize that you're compromising. So I thought that it would just be so refreshing to have you on here.
Yes.
And kind of remind us all, like, y'all, we compromising.
Yeah.
And we do need to be unapologetic in that capacity. And so, I want to shake it up just a little bit before we keep going, because I know I asked you to play this little game with me.
Okay.
And so if y'all been watching, you actually know what this already is. We're going to play a cute little trivia game. I asked you who your favorite artist is. You told me Naomi Rain. Shout out to Naomi because my girl sings down.
She does.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about her.
Okay.
Do not feel pressure.
Oh, Lord.
If you get it wrong, you don't have to do something crazy.
I probably will, but hey.
But I just think that it's really cool and humble for everyone to be able to say, like, I still admire others, you know, without idolizing, obviously, but just like, I think someone else is doing great work.
Yeah.
And, you know, in whatever perspective that is for you. So I'm going to pull out my handy dandy trivia.
Okay.
Don't get them wrong, Caliyah. I'm just kidding. Okay. We're going to start with the don't forget the lyrics. Okay. So finish these. Now you say you like her music now, so you should know the words.
I know. Okay.
And it's funny because BJ actually put me on to this song. We were riding back from the last power trip and they gave him the aux. And he put this on. I had never heard it before. So hopefully you know this one. Okay. She says, you've got evidence. You're the living proof.
That God keeps promises. I gotta keep going?
Yep.
Lord. Okay, y'all don't want me to sing.
Just finish the next part.
Oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my
Come on, Caliyah. You got
that
this.
God keeps promises and his word won't
fail. There we go.
Yes.
We'll get a hand clap of praise
you.
for that. Come
Thank
on,
you,
ma'am.
y'all.
You're hilarious for that. It's on the tip of my tongue.
It is.
Okay. You're 1 for 1.
Okay.
Okay. You know this answer. I know you know this next answer.
I'm hot.
What?
I'm like sweating.
Okay. What well-known Christian collective is Naomi a member of? And when did she debut with them?
Okay. I know the first part.
Okay, which is
Maverick City.
period.
I couldn't tell you.
Don't feel bad because I had to Google all of it.
I could not tell you that.
I had to Google all of it. So apparently she just started working with them in 2019. So they haven't even been together that long. But it seems like every time you hear them, you hear her. So I can't, I couldn't kind of tell when she jumped in the game. So we'll give you 1.5.
Okay, I'll take
1.5 out of 2. Okay. Do you know the name of her latest solo project? I'll give you a hint. She's wearing that pretty black dress on the front.
She is. That's my favorite album too.
Really? You like that one better than Eden? Oh, wow. Okay.
I do. Just she's so real on that one.
She is. It is pretty real.
What is that one called? I don't know. I just be putting.
You want to phone a friend? Here, phone a friend. Phone me.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
The word.
Am I supposed to be like this?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Yo, cut the cameras. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Okay.
This is who I am, y'all.
Oh, goodness, Lord. Okay. I'll give you a hint. The name of the project is a word you use to describe kind of what you're talking about right now. Like from the beginning of something to the end of something. What word will you use to describe something from the beginning of something to the end of something? Everybody says, fall in love with the...
What?
Journey.
That's what I was going to say story. Hold on. Because one of her songs is what? Good Story?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I feel like I gave the best hints I could have possibly given this girl. Y'all help me out in the comments. Like, help me out. Okay, here's the last one. So you are 2.5. Well, 1.5 of 3 Miss Mamas. That's an F.
I promise, Naomi, I really do enjoy your music.
Can you tell? No, I'm just playing. Okay. Now, this one you will not know the answer to because you didn't even know. Well, let me not speak for you. You might.
Look.
Okay. I had to Google it, girl. I got it off her bio on her website.
Lord.
Okay.
Okay. I ain't visit that.
Oh, my goodness. Caliyah, stop. Okay. At what age did Naomi Rain sing in her first concert?
Bria.
Oh, goodness. When I wrote it down, I thought to myself, you really think she gonna know these answers?
Age?
Girl, she was 2.
I was struggling with names. I can't.
She was 2 years old when she sang her first concert.
Really?
Wrote her first song by the age of 7. My girl is...
What?
She been in the game. She been in the game.
Maybe she can give me some singing lessons.
You need singing lessons? Let's hear your best right now. No? Not even for the people?
They might turn off the podcast.
That's all right. I'm just playing. Please don't turn the episode off, y'all. Don't do that. Okay, look, well, fine then. We'll move on. You don't want to tell us? let's just move on, y'all.
I was finna sing evidence.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Come on. Mm-hmm.
You've got.
So you can't be laughing, bro. You got to be ready. Okay, look. I'm gonna give you the intro. I'm gonna give you the 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. You ain't gonna do it. You ain't gonna do it. You're not gonna do right.
Voice cracks after voice cracks after voice cracks.
What's crazy is she probably can sing and she's just trying to be fake shy. No. The people, look, your parents in the comments right now like, please stop.
Yes, because the Lord gifted me with the voice to speak.
Okay.
Not to sing.
That's all right. Mm-mm. That's all right. I'll lead worship for us.
Okay.
That's what I'll do.
You got it.
Okay. Let's get into the second half of these questions. So I want to know, in what ways do you see your podcast as a platform for building community and fostering discussions, right? Because I know right now I've seen you do a couple of episodes with other people, but for the most part, it's just you, just kind of sharing whatever word was laid on your heart, like you mentioned earlier.
Right.
But how do you see that transferring into something that could maybe be, where you have other guests or you're maybe like out in the community? I know you said you do speaking engagements. Do you ever challenge any of them to kind of sit down with you and share maybe like their testimonies or even just the benefit of what your podcast has been to them?
Yeah. I haven't really dove deep into bringing guests on.
Okay.
I have had a couple of guests, and the people that I have had on there, like I've interviewed one guest, and he has a Christian clothing line.
Nice.
And I wanted to discuss about, what does that look like with God still being the center of your business while it's growing, while you're making money, and you're not leaving God out of everything that you're doing. But I haven't really asked others.
Yeah.
Now I do use like the topics that I have learned to go out and to talk about those things. And especially with FCA events, having the students telling me, what's going on in their life and them wanting to know more.
Yeah. Can you break that down a little bit? Like, what is FCA for people who may not be familiar or even really know what you're talking about at all?
Yeah, so FCA is Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And I know here in Georgia, there's a good bit, in high schools and middle schools. So it's a place for students to come. They don't necessarily have to be athletes, but it's a space for, students to come to learn more, to, have devotional times.
Yeah.
Just little, maybe like a 30-minute kind of session before they go into school.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And how often are you doing that?
It's not like a weekly thing. I would say every couple of months.
Okay.
I have like a consistent one that I do go to middle school that I go to often just to, share a little word and everything. But they find it very inspiring.
That's what I was going to ask, being that they're young and not trying to take away from your adulthood, but I'm sure to them, it's like, she's kind of young too.
Yes,
so how do they receive? Okay, good.
They enjoy it.
That's really good. And have you found yourself in spaces where you found resistance, maybe from the people who are, who you're trying to minister to, or maybe the staff that you're working with? Like, are you dealing with any like pushback or challenges, or is it truly just all like easy peasy breezy?
It's been really easy.
Okay.
Now I will say, because of my age, there is, some pushback from older, adults and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like, you're just not in a space yet. What that looks like. I remember having a women's group at my previous church that I led, and they got to a point where they wanted people that was 25 and older to minister and foster groups. And so in that way, I felt disqualified. Not that was their intention,
Right.
but I did feel disqualified from them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, God gives me the word.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit speaks to me, and I think that is all that matters sometimes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that if we discourage our youth, then it'll back them in the corner where they no longer have a desire.
Yeah.
And maybe not necessarily that, but I do feel like when you're young and you're growing and you're developing, when people put down the things that you're trying to do, particularly when it comes to your faith, it can kind of like single-handedly just lead you in the other direction.
Yeah.
Like make you be like, well, this is why people don't like church people, or whatever that looks like. And I hate the bad name that the church gets.
Yes.
because it really can be a great place for your development. I met Caliyah there. I have so many mentors and real friends now who I feel like are trying to, like, we're all just trying to shoot for the same stuff and very able to hold one another accountable. Because a lot of times it's like, when it comes to your worldly friends, they're not going to hold you accountable. No. They like what you're doing. Like everybody likes that.
They're there for a good time. Yeah.
Correct. You know what I mean? So that's really good to hear, though, that ultimately, especially from the youth, that you're not receiving that pushback, because I do believe that they're getting a bad name right now as well with the outlets that they have and the things that they're putting out there. Yeah. It seems like it's hard to get really them on that page. Yeah. You know, and I know that we both deal with that, you know, as youth leaders at church. And, you know, I kind of want to know if you had any opportunities to maybe take what you're doing with the Way in the Light and use that in church. Like, have you had any moments where you're like, you should just check out my podcast, or like where you feel a little bit more connected to them because of like the path that you're forging with the Way in the Light?
Yeah. I've had opportunities to, you know, advertise my podcast in that way. And a lot of, you know, the younger girls that do look up to me in the church, in the plug. So, you know, they do come to me and they're like, I listen to your podcast, or I watch your social media. So it is a space for me to do that. I've never been, you know, told not to do that, which is great. But I think the youth and younger women seeing me being so young and doing what I'm doing, it's very inspiring, because I do, like, for FCA events, I do at the end have a few, you know, young girls come up to me like, I have the desire to, you know, speak and do what you do. And there was this one moment where I was speaking, a little girl came up to me and she was like, you know, I want to do that. You know, I want to look into that. I want to, you know, speak to middle school or elementary kids. And I looked at her because I felt so heavy in the spirit. I'm like, girl, you're going to be a powerhouse. Like, I see that. You're going to be a powerhouse. Yeah. And I told her that. I'm like, if you just keep walking out with the Lord, watch God blow your mind in this area. And I've had like my own high school group of girls too. And one of them, she actually started to teach in middle school. So I love seeing that because your age, it doesn't matter. God can use you at so many different ages. Like, he can call you and you can be a powerhouse at 13, at 10, at 8, at 5. Like, you know, so don't let your age discourage you. And that's one of the ways that I really had to walk that out too, that just because I'm, you know, young, I can still do what I need to do. Or I can still be a vessel in the kingdom. God has called me. I have an anointing on my name. I have a huge calling and purpose that is attached to Caliyah Amanie. Yeah. So I'm not going to let anyone use my age to discourage that. Or because I don't have degrees. Because that's a place too.
Come on, yeah.
Because they're like, oh, you need to have degrees, you need to have certifications to be able to be qualified in this space, or to be to be in church, to be a minister. And I can get that to a certain degree. Yes, take schooling, take theology classes, you know, go to seminary, learn more, dive deep. But that does not qualify you. Yeah, God qualifies you. Yeah, you know, so God qualifies you before the world qualifies you. Yeah, point blank. Period.
Yeah, I mean that's scripture. Yeah, literally says don't be discouraged by your age. Like, don't let other people discourage you.
And
because
the Bible
of your age.
encourages us to be young and to start in our faith young. And so that's why I love student ministry so much, because I want to be able to be a part of their story, to feed in, to move them, to urge them, to encourage them. Start your walk with the Lord, because you do not know how beneficial it will be. Because I have like 30-year-old plus, 40-year-old plus women coming to me. They're like, you know, that's so inspiring that you're so young and you're doing what you're doing. I wish I started at your age.
Absolutely.
And for a while, I was like, you know, to just taking it as a compliment, like, thank you so much. But now I really see the beauty behind it all is starting so young, having a relationship with the Lord, because we will go through trials and tribulations. We will face hard times. But now, because I'm so young and because I now am experiencing some hard times, I have an eternal perspective that it's not going to shake me. And I don't have to wait till I'm 30 years old to have a relationship with the Lord. And I already face those hard times, because now I'm going through grief. Now I'm going through pain, trials and tribulations. But because I have that eternal perspective at my young age, I know how to navigate it.
Yeah. And that girl, she took the words out of my mouth. No, seriously though. like I said, when I first met you, I would have never known your age or anything like that. You do carry yourself so well.
Thank you.
I mean, you're gorgeous anyway, but you carry yourself like a woman. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say you're not a woman, but you know, when you hear woman, people think like 25 and up or whatever. But no, you carry yourself so far beyond your years, and you are very wise. And that. I do pray that you never question that, even if, you know, the thought tries to creep. Smack it like a gnat and keep it moving. Like, Amen. Seriously.
Yeah.
So before we kind of wrap up, I know that you are having an event coming up.
I do.
And I think that the ladies need to be in the building. I'll be in the building.
To know.
So please tell them a little bit about your conference and, you know, where they can find more information.
Yes. So I am actually diving deep into having a women's ministry that is attached to the Way and Light.
Come on.
And my conference is called the Refresh Women's Conference. It is on June 15th here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Not in Cartersville, right? But in Atlanta.
Not in Cartersville.
Okay. We just had to be sure.
Well, let me say Metro Atlanta area. Okay. Not in the city, y'all. But it's going to be absolutely amazing. It's just a space where God has allowed me to cultivate for women of all ages, you know, to come to fellowship, to break bread, to find new community, to find new mentors, accountability partners, relationships, all in that one space to be poured into, so that you actually understand where your beauty and your identity comes from.
Hallelujah.
Not in the world, not in society, but through Christ.
Yeah.
And how God can refresh every part of you. And I think this year's is going to be heavy because I feel like there's a lot that's going on in the spirit.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot that's going on in the world. And to have that, like I said, eternal perspective and to know what it feels like to allow God to wash you with his word, to wash you with his presence, to wash you with the Holy Spirit. Man, it's such a beautiful experience. And I want women to come together because women, y'all, we are powerhouse, okay? We got to be able to cover our household. We got to be able to cover our children. We have to be able to cover our relationships, our husbands. So in order to do that, you have to allow God to just mold you, to mend you, to create you, to break you, to, you know, fix you. And so this conference is an outlet for that to happen.
Yes. Listen, if that didn't make you want to come, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
So where can we get our tickets?
Yes. So it is available. So you can follow me on social media at Caliyah Amanie, CALIYAHAMANIE.
I'll put it on the screen.
Yes. But so everything is linked on there. I'm going to be very active with promoting this conference. So you'll be able to have access to everything that way.
And I mean, you're a content creator, so of course you're gonna.
I am.
Y'all, she got her podcast set up. I mean, her little tripod set up.
I got my camera. I'm ready.
Y'all. She was like, she came in here ready to record me.
Yes.
Hey, we're ready to record me on my show.
Look, I gotta get the content. I gotta get the content.
Well, I would be lying if I said I did not truly enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't wait, obviously, for us to continue to be pruned and all the things that we've been talking about. And
you
just
take it to the smooth fire.
Lord.
Okay. Look.
But I have truly, like, I'm so glad that I got the guts up to ask you to do this.
Yeah.
I definitely was a little fearful of you being like, I don't know you like that. I'm not gonna come tell you my business. I don't know you like that. But I really believe that this episode can change lives.
Yeah.
And I do believe that, you know, your testimony alone, I'm telling you, the first time I heard it at camp, I was like, excuse me, like, wow, like, come on, you know, you never know people's stories and how they got there, you know, and I definitely was curious. Like, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. Like, when I first met, I'm like, how is she so young and so on fire for what happened? Like,
nothing but the
how
Lord.
Did you get there?
The grace of God.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see, beautiful to witness. Can't wait to see you grow in all this time, you know, however long the Lord allows us to be in one another's lives. But thank you again so much for coming onto the show. The transparency means a lot.
Yeah.
Y'all know I am team tell me your business. Like, but just be open and honest and allow room for other people to grow and learn from what you've shared. So y'all already know what I'm going to say next. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do not forget to like and share this video. Most importantly, subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to go show the Way and the Light some love, y'all. We'll put the links down below in the description. You can listen, tune in, follow her, and everything else in between. Got anything else you want to say before we close out?
No, just be devoted to the Lord and just watch him blow your mind because you'll be surprised at that.
Honey, and I have nothing else to say other than that.
Amen.
Peace and blessings, y'all. Until next time.
Bye.
YouTube. You can find me out in the streets, looking for new talent all over Atlanta. I'm really grateful for y'all support, man. Y'all just don't know.